Om Anandamayi Chaitanyamayi Satyamayi Parame. So that Parama is the supreme, the absolute reality, who is three in one, Sat, Chit and Ananda. So Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Satyamayi, Parame. So that Sat, Chit, Ananda, it forms the Parartha. Someone can say that that highest form is also Shiva, that highest form is also Vishnu, that highest form is masculine, that highest form is also feminine. But ultimately, it is through the feminine that highest world can be realized. Today, the world needs more Bagalamukhi, otherwise, whatever is happening in the name of freedom of speech, so we need to invoke more Bagalamukhi, that she has control over that. You cannot do anything with the freedom of speech. There has to be regulation, there has to be control. Anandamayi Chaitanyamayi Satyamayi Parame. Anandamayi Chaitanyamayi Satyamayi Parame. Anandamayi Chaitanyamayi Satyamayi Parame. Anandamayi Chaitanyamayi Satyamayi Parame. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Namo Bhagavate. So the topic today is on Dasha Mahavidya, but keeping that, it's a vast topic. We all know it. We can spend our entire life just contemplating on a single aspect of Mahavidya. Though Dasha Mahavidya is 10 great cosmic powers, but the Supreme Divine Mother is not confined to 10. She is Ananta Guna. So there can be hundreds and thousands and infinite forms of her. She can manifest in any form. She is invoked. She can appear in any form. She can work out things for the seekers. In whatever form she is invoked, she is worshipped, she is adored. But the tradition, especially the Tantric tradition, has realized these 10 great forms of her, 10 great powers of her, which she has manifest, and they are directly connected with the principles of creation. And once we understand each Mahavidya, how each Mahavidya is connected with a particular aspect of the creation, then we can link each Mahavidya with the different powers which exist within us. So then it's called Mahavidya because it's actually Brahma Vidya. It is Vidya, Mahavidya, Brahma Vidya, all these are connected. And contemplating on each Mahavidya or knowing all the Mahavidyas will lead to the self-realization. Because self-realization, the Atma Jnana, is the ultimate Jnanam. That is why it is called Vidya, Mahavidya. The word Vidya, and why all these are called Mahavidyas. The word Vidya is used in many senses in our tradition. Okay. Vidya is learning. Vidya is knowledge, wisdom. Vidya is also manual, the way of learning. Vidya is also meditative processes. That's also called Vidya. When you come to the Upanishads, you will find a lot of Vidyas. And those Vidyas are not directly connected with knowledge, because these are processes of knowledge. Suppose you have a particular Vidya realized by a particular Rishi. So, in that context, that Vidya is the meditative process by which a particular aspect of the truth is realized. That's why it's all the manual of sadhana in the Upanishads. And when we are talking about the Dasha Mahavidyas, they have deeper connection. I mean, it's not, Tantra is not something which is separate from the Vedic and Vedantic tradition. This reconciliation is very much necessary. I mean, we need to understand the deeper connection between the Vedic, Upanishadic, and the Tantric realizations. It's a continuation, it's an expansion, it's not separate by itself. And in order to understand how to approach the Dasha Mahavidyas, how to approach the different aspects of these cosmic powers of the Divine Mother, we need to understand the Vedic realization, what the Vedic rishis and rishikas they realized, what was the process by which they realized, and then how this whole wisdom it again got carried forward through various traditions. And for that, even to understand the Dasha Mahavidyas and their connection with the principles of creation, we need to understand the Vedic cosmology. Okay. So we start from there. Then the real Vidya will move on. So in the Vedic cosmology, the whole creation is divided into two parts, Parardha and Aparardha. Parardha and Aparardha. Parardha is our higher half, what lies above. And Aparardha is the lower half, the relative world in which we live. That is Aparardha, the lower half. And in the Parardha, the mantra with which I began the invocation, Om Anandamayi Chaitanyamayi Satyamayi Parame. So that Parama is the supreme, the absolute reality, who is three in one, Sat, Chit and Ananda. So Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Satyamayi, Param. So that Sat, Chit, Ananda, it forms the Parardha, the higher half. That is the highest form of the Supreme Divine Mother. Someone can say that that highest form is also Shiva, that highest form is also Vishnu, that highest form is masculine, that highest form is also feminine. But ultimately, it is through the feminine that highest world can be realized. Without the intervention of the Divine Mother, no self-realization can take place. This is what is our tradition. It's not just Tantra, even the Upanishad also, you'll find that. In the Veda also, you'll find that. So in that Parardha, I'll come back again to this aspect of like how the self-realization can happen through the Divine Mother's intervention. Now, at Parardha, everything is one. There's no division. So Sat is Chit and Ananda, Chit is Sat and Ananda, Ananda is Sat and Chit. You cannot separate them because there is no separation. Only unity prevails at the highest level. Oneness, ekatva, and sameness, samatva. These are the two greatest aspects of the parartha, where utmost equanimity and oneness they prevail. Sat Chit Ananda. And that, when it manifests in the sthula, becomes this relative world, becomes this lower half. So here, that unity of consciousness descending and becoming the grossmost. So just imagine the subtlemost descending, becoming the grossmost. So at the grossmost level, that unity of consciousness is lost, but not essentially. That essential oneness, it exists, but outwardly, that unity is lost. So only division prevails. So we operate in binaries. We operate in dualities. This or that. Happiness, no happiness. All kinds of dvandvas, they operate at the aparartha level. Because that unity of consciousness is lost at the grossmost level. And this whole process of the one becoming many, the subtlemost descending and becoming the grossmost, where the unity is lost, this whole process is given the name as a nimesha. Nimesha. Nimesha means closing or narrowing, making it finite, like you close your eyes. Nimesha. This is half of the story of the creation. This is called involution. And this is half of the story because now the real story has to begin. Where each one of us, we have to play our role of doing the unmesha. Unmesha is the whole story of evolution, regaining the lost unity. The unity of consciousness which is lost, now we need to regain that, and this is the story of evolution. Our evolutionary journey aims at regaining the unity of consciousness. And here, there are many challenges. It's not an easy job to regain the unity of consciousness. If it was easy, then there would not have been any problem in the world. And every human crisis, the root cause of every human crisis is this division. We all live in a divided consciousness. Anytime you just close your eyes and see yourself, but divided in manifold ways. Practically, you think, okay, today Shakti Kumbh is happening, I must go and attend some beautiful sessions happening there. Immediately you will listen so many other voices. Mind is saying, oh, you have this engagement, that engagement. You can see the division here, how divided we are. And there is a beautiful story, Zen story, which there was a group of foreigners. Foreigners. Uh, so they were the disciples of a master. And they were very curious to know what is the secret of the master's siddhi. What is the secret of the master's siddhi? Siddhi means that his success. So they asked him that please reveal the secret. He said, no, secret is not revealed in public. So we all have to go to a secluded place, and all those who are really curious to know and sincere enough, so I'll take only those disciples and I'll reveal the secret of my success. So they were very excited and in a secluded place on a particular appointed time. Now the Guru is revealing the secret. So he says the secret of my success, my siddhi is this. When I sit, I sit. When I eat. When I walk, I walk. When I sleep, I sleep. That's all. He said, but how can this be secret? We also do that. The master said, no. When you sit, you have already decided when to get up. So anything that we do, we are not totally into it because of this division, divided consciousness. It doesn't allow us to be focused on one. So that is why much effort goes on becoming free from this division. And what creates this division? First thing is that unity is lost. And when unity is lost, oneness is not there. It is the separative ego sense which plays the maximum role. Our desire-driven, egocentric, outer projected self is the main cause of all our problems. So, on the path of sadhana, one needs to become free from this projected, egocentric, desire-driven outer self and turn inward to become focused on the real self where unity prevails. That essential unity which is not lost, it is essentially there. It needs to manifest and lead, become the leader. This is where the Gita says, Uddhared Atmana Atmanam, that deliver yourself by yourself. Deliver that outer projected, desire driven self by the inner self, by the power of inner self. This is the work. So, to demolish the ego, by what? The ego will never be demolished. It will always be there. Without ego, nothing will work. It has to be there. But it should not be that outer desire driven, the projected self, which knows only division. And in order to become free from that, the intervention of the Divine Mother is the surest way. The surest way. That's what you read when you turn to Sri Aurobindo, this beautiful book. It will not take more time. You can finish it within 1 hour. Pick up that small book of Sri Aurobindo called The Mother. Yeah, you all have it. Very nice. Read that slowly, concentratedly, and you will get the essential knowledge of all the Dasha Mahavidyas, all the principles, everything that is spoken in the Tantra about Dasha Mahavidya, the practical application of that in our life, in our sadhana, is what is given in Sri Aurobindo's book, The Mother, where he says the first thing that we need to do is to become completely free from this desire driven self by demolishing the ego. And what is the surest way of demolishing the ego? There are various things that we need to take care of it, but ultimate thing what is explained to us by Sri Aurobindo is by giving ourselves completely to the Divine Mother. The surest way is to give ourselves completely to the Divine Mother. Without her intervention, Please remember, nothing will proceed. And this is again, the Veda says that, the Upanishad says that. Let me narrate you this aspect of like why the Divine Mother's intervention is necessary, and then how the self-realization happens only through the Divine Mother's intervention, giving you the Upanishadic reference. I'll then move to the Dasha Mahavidya. Okay. So now I see the play of ego is very well described in one of the principal Upanishads. Upanishads are the texts which contain many esoteric verses, mantras, where one deeply contemplates on the self-knowledge. Actually, three aspects which define what Upanishads are. The content of the Upanishad has within it, once you enter into Upanishads, you will find content on self-knowledge, on God knowledge, and on world knowledge. And it links everything. Then the Brahmavidya becomes complete. The same way, the Dasha Mahavidya, the sadhana of Dasha Mahavidya, any Mahavidya you choose Kali, you choose Tara, you choose Bhuvaneshwari, Matangi, Bagalamukhi, any aspect of the Mahavidyas. So, it all is contemplated on these three: self-knowledge, God knowledge, and world knowledge. And these three together are called the Mahavidyas or Brahmavidya. Right? Self-knowledge, God knowledge, and world knowledge. Together it's called Brahmavidya. And that's the content of all the Upanishads. So there are many Upanishads, around 250 Upanishads, which are so far available in published form. So there is one of the principal Upanishads called Kena Upanishad. Kena Upanishad, there is a beautiful legend. Through this legend, the Brahmavidya is explained. So what is the story there? The legend is that once all the gods, they started boasting of their own powers. So once they had victory over certain adverse forces, and everyone boasted that the victory happened because of me. Agni said, if I was not there, then there would not have been any victory. Indra said that, Vayu said that, Yama said that. All gods, they started boasting. And when they were doing this, in a retreat maybe, post dinner, suddenly they found that a very brilliant, effulgent, some lump of light appearing before them. They couldn't grasp, they couldn't bear what it is. So they decided that let's approach and then find out what is this. So Agni went, and suddenly he hears a voice emerging from that brilliant uh, lump of light, you can say. It has no image, it's just light. So he hears a voice, who are you? Said, I am Agni. uh, what's your power? He said, I can burn the entire creation within no time. So then he finds a single blade of grass in his hand, dry, single blade of grass. Then he hears a voice, okay, now look at the blade of grass on your hand and then burn it. So Agni puts all its force but fails, humiliated, ashamed of his own act. He comes back and reports to other gods that I failed. I didn't know. Vayu goes. Same thing happens. He puts the blade of grass. Vayu fails to blow it off or move it a little bit. Comes disappointed, humiliated. Now Indra goes, and suddenly this lump of light disappears. It's not there. So Indra is worried. What happened? What it is? Where did it disappear? Then there appears a beautiful woman called Uma. Her name is Uma Haimavati. Possibly the word, English word woman has come from Uma. And she explains to Indra what was that. So it is through this divine mother, the whole Brahma Vidya is exposed. I mean, Indra is exposed to the whole Brahma Vidya through the divine mother. This is the Vedantic understanding that without the intervention of the divine mother, and only she, that's why Sri Aurobindo, whenever sadhaks went to Sri Aurobindo, he directed them that ask the mother, ask the mother. She is the solution for everything. Without her intervention, nothing will happen. And she, at her supreme state, at the parartha, at the parartha, she is ananta guna, means she is infinite. Infinite her qualities, her powers. That's what Sri Aurobindo writes in his book, The Mother. But then she makes her finite. There are ways, there are processes by which some aspect of the Divine Mother can be grasped, she can be seized, she can be contemplated, she can be brought into, her force can act in every seeker when she is approached through these different forms. And Sri Aurobindo again reduces all the Dasha Mahavidyas into four aspects. The Tantra gives a total, there are various in the Tantric tradition, if you go, there are various Dasha Mahavidyas. The names are different, but there is a standard list where you find Kali, Tara, Bhuvaneshwari, Dhumavati, Matangi, Vagalamukhi, Kamalatmika, Tripura Sundari, Tripura Bhairavi. So these are the 10 Dasha Mahavidyas. The standard acceptance is this. And in separate tantras, in the tantric tradition, you will find separate texts dedicated to each Mahavidyas. You have a Kali Tantra, you have Tara Tantra, you have Bhuvaneshwari Tantra, you have Bagalamukhi Tantra. To separate rituals, separate processes, meditative processes, separate descriptions, separate mantras, you will find in the tradition of each Mahavidya, all those who are into practice, so they follow. But in the tradition, they follow separately. Like I am a Kali sadhak, I am a Bhuvaneshwari sadhak, I am a Tripura Sundari sadhak, I am Bagalamukhi sadhana, I do Matangi sadhana, or I do Tripura Sundari, where Sri Vidya tradition, which is famous in uh, South. So there it is the Tripura Sundari in her Sri Vidya form. And each Mahavidya has its own specific mantra, specific yantra, specific ways of worship and rituals. That's how the tradition has looked at. Never in the history of Dasha Mahavidya, in the Tantric tradition, all the Dasha Mahavidyas are put together. The only person, only sadhak who has done this, a few, say, maybe 150 years before, not yet 150 yet, so another 5 years, we will be celebrating the 150 years of the mother, and again a coincidence, we will be celebrating 150 years of Vasishtha, Kavyakantha, Ganapati, Muni. If you have not heard this name, he was the foremost disciple of Ramana Maharshi, whose ashram is there in Tiruvannamalai. It's called Arunachalam. So he, in the whole Vedic, Vedantic and Tantric tradition, he is the only one sadhak, Sri Vidya Upasak, who has reconciled the Veda, Upanishad, the Vedanta and Tantra. And he has written a small text called Dasha Mahavidya Sutrani. Dasha Mahavidya Sutra. They are in sutra form, very compact sentences, where, and this we will again discuss in our later session, elaborately I will explain about it, but very briefly, that all the Dasha Mahavidyas are put together along with their correspondence with the Veda and Vedanta. He also gives a reference to which Veda mantra is meant for which Mahavidya, which Upanishad Vidya is connected with which Mahavidya. This correspondence no one has done so far. It's the only uh, sadhaka who has done this. Now, his name is Vasishtha Kavyakantha, Kavyakantha Ganapati Muni. Or you can simply say Ganapati Muni. Yeah. The rest are his epithets. Okay. So you can simply say Ganapati Muni. So Ganapati Muni, he has done this reconciliation in his Dasha Mahavidya Sutra. Now, when we contemplate on the Mahavidyas separately, we will see that the tantric experience, in the tantric realization, in the tantric text, as Sri Aurobindo says in his book, The Mother, as we find in the Vedanta and various other texts, that the Divine Mother is the primordial Shakti, the Adya Shakti, the Adi Shakti, the Parashakti, the Supreme. Beyond that, there is nothing. She appears, as Sri Aurobindo again writes in his book, The Mother, she appears in her three different forms. She has the transcendental form. In her transcendental form, there is nothing beyond it. Tantra calls it as Anuttara. Anuttara means there is nothing beyond this transcendental aspect of the Divine Mother. There she is all in all. She is the source of creation, the Adya Shakti. Then, in order to manifest, she appears in her universal form, cosmic form. And then, in the grossmost level, she also appears in her individual forms. So, her individual forms are also many. And it is through the individual forms we, all those who aspire sincerely to realize the Divine Mother, we have to approach the individual forms, and through that we can realize our cosmic and transcendental form and then become one with her. And that's what Sri Aurobindo says, and this is what is the crux of the Mahavidya sadhanas or Shakti sadhana, is that Sri Aurobindo is very clear and very categorically he says that complete demolition of ego or freedom from ego can happen when the sadhak is totally identified with the transcendental form of the Divine Mother. That's the only way. And this is what, again, in the Veda, if you see, Veda says that aparartha has to mingle with parartha. The aparartha cannot remain as aparartha because there is a natural evolution which keeps happening within us. There is a force which forces every one of us to evolve, to come out of it. All those who are sincere, they take the message seriously or they feel that pressure. All those who are not sincere, they just go with the flow and then remain like that. Someday the evolution will happen. That's why Sri Aurobindo speaks of these two different types of evolution. Like one is the nature's evolution, which keeps happening mechanically, and the other way is that where we become conscious and accelerate the process of evolution. Okay. So now parardha and aparardha, they have to become one with each other. The sadhak has to become free from every aspect of limitations. This is where Tantra again focuses. The ultimate vision of Tantra is, if you summarize the whole vision of Tantra and then how it has worked out our evolutionary journey. So Tantra speaks of three aspects of our consciousness, our evolutionary journey. Where we need to move when we talk about the Unmesha, when we talk about our evolutionary journey, where to start and where to end, it speaks of three steps. So Tantra considers it's based again on the realization that every one of us at our ordinary level are Pashu. Are Pashu. Pashu means animal. Pashu. Yes. At our ordinary level, when we are bound by, when we are limited and narrow by all limitations, all shortcomings, all weaknesses, we all are Pashu. It's not just, like one animal will be called Pashu, but we are also Pashu as long as we are bound by limitations, limited by limitations. Okay. So Pashu means, the word Pashu comes from the root sound Pash. Pash means to fix. Like you say, you have a verbal form, Pashyati. Pashyati means to see. So seeing happens when vision is fixed. Pash. Without the fixing of vision, no seeing will happen. Pasha, another word pasha, comes from the root sound pash. Pasha means a noose by which you bound. And there are many pashas. Tantra speaks of many pashas, which are the limiting factors which limit us, which bind us, which creates narrowness in our consciousness. And this narrowness of consciousness again is the root cause of all our crises. And the Gita speaks of this narrowness as Karpanya dosha. Karpanya dosha means miserliness, the narrowness of our consciousness. And if you contemplate on the teachings of the Veda, Vedanta, and the Tantra, you will find that this Karpanya dosha is the root cause of all human problems, all human crises. That is why Tantra says that one has to become free from this Pashutva, from this state of man animal, where only instincts and our impulses, our low vital, limited mind, limited physical being, limited vital being, limited mental being, they create all limitations and problems. So we need to become free from Pashutva by educating ourselves, by expanding our consciousness. And the first step is to become free from all weaknesses and emerge as a hero warrior. That's why, like the mother says, I don't like those children of mine who come and then stand before me and then say, Mother, please excuse me. This is the mistake I did. I'll not do it again. He said, I don't like those children. I like that child of mine who comes and stands before me like a hero warrior, says that, Ma, I am your true child, free from all weaknesses. I am the hero warrior. So that is what is Viratva, Vira. And we have a prayer, the children sing it every day in the morning, that make me the hero warrior. Okay. So that hero warrior, Tantra speaks of as Vira. So from Pashu, we need to rise above by becoming free from all limitations and realize the Viratva, the heroic strength of ours. Heroic strength is that where there is no weakness, where there is no weakness, the pure dynamism, heroic dynamism, that it fears nothing. It fears nothing, like a rishi, like Atharva. Atharva means no one can shake him off. Nothing, no situation. It's like, like when Alexander, he wanted to leave. I mean, when he was leaving Bharat, so he thought, I am the emperor, I have conquered the whole world, but yet I am a failure. Why? He said that, like, I do not understand one thing, this rishis, very weird kind of personalities, that, but it is because of them, India is India. So if I can conquer one rishi and then take him along with me, then I am the true world conqueror. So he ordered his officers that go and get one rishi. So they went around and they found that a huge, person sitting immobile. So they ordered him that come. He said, where? He said, our conqueror has ordered, our emperor has ordered, you have to go. He said, I am sitting there for so many thousands of years, maybe. No one has asked me to move. So if your emperor has something to do with me, so let him come. He said, you don't know our emperor, he will, he can kill you, he can destroy. He said, let him kill me. So if he has something, I have nothing to do with him. If he has something to do with me, he has to come to me. So he said it with all politeness, all smile, with all clarity. And now the emperor comes and then says, move. He said, no, I have never moved. Why do you want me to move? He said, if you don't follow my order, he just removed his sword and then said, I'll behead you. He said, behead. Who stops you? I am here at your disposal. So then he left, he threw the sword and then said, what is the fun of killing someone who is ready to be killed? So that's not heroism. So he fell at his feet. He said, I know, like, this is what I have, and no one can conquer. And that is why the India is the land of rishis. And it is those rishis, and when you say rishis, all rishikas are also included. Because rishi, maximum number of rishis were there with their families. Okay. There are brahmacharis, there are urdhvaretas, there are plenty of very various kinds of rishis. Even the rishi tradition has given respect to an ordinary person. Showing some symptoms of a rishi is also called a janarshi. Janarshi means like a ordinary rishi. So to that extent, the rishi tradition has given respect to each and every human being. So from Pashu, Tantra says that we need to go to become the hero warrior, the Veera. And only then, the path towards becoming the man divine will be clear. And the ultimate realization, as per the Tantra, is Divya. So our journey is from Pashu to Veera to Divya. From man animal to man human to man divine. And when you see this, the whole process is given in Sri Aurobindo's synthesis of yoga, or Sri Aurobindo's, the principles of integral education or integral yoga is so much in alignment with this, or expansion of this whole idea of Pashu, Veera and Divya. And ultimately, Sri Aurobindo wanted that the divine life has to be established on this earth. And this is where the mother, the divine mother, plays the maximum role. And coming to the Mahavidyas, the Dasha Mahavidyas, when we contemplate on these principles of the creation, the Vedic cosmology, and then see what an individual consciousness can manifest, in what forms we worship the different aspects of the mother, though she can appear in infinite forms, she becomes measurable. Now, Kali, just to give you a little bit of examples of these Dasha Mahavidyas, the standard acceptance, as I told you, that it is Kali, Tara, Tripura Sundari, Tripura Bhairavi, Dhumavati, Matangi, Bagalamukhi, Kamalatmika. So these are the 10, Bhubaneswari and Chinnamasta. Bhubaneswari and Chinnamasta. So the 10 standard acceptance of the Dasha Mahavidya. So what happens? Like every Mahavidya has a particular role to play in the making of this creation. In the making of this creation. And if you look at the Veda, how it describes the creation happened and what was there before creation. So the Veda says, Tama asit, tamasa gudham. It was all dark, darkness clouded by darkness. And that's what you will find in the description of Dhumavati. Dhumavati in the Veda, in the Tantric Mahavidyas. So she is the one who creates this sense of, uh, who makes everything obscure, everything clouded. But she appears in that cloud, in that darkness, as the pure flame. That's why Dhumavati is not all dark. She's smoky. She looks smoking. She looks, but in that obscurity, a similar example also you will get in the Veda that there is a rishi called Dirghatama. Dirghatama means Dirgha is very vast stretch of time, you can say. Tamas means darkness. So that rishi remained in the Garbha, remained in the womb, in that darkness of the womb for a long time. Don't ask scientifically, is it possible, not possible? It's a spiritual realization. So, in that darkness, so he was in search of that ray of light. And once he saw that ray of light, he manifested in his finite form. That's how he was called the Dirghatama. So that's exactly, you can link it with Dhumavati, that in that obscure, dark, darkness, blinding darkness, darkness covered by darkness, sees that pure flame which is there. Then you have, when the creation happens, Kali is the time, the Kala Shakti. And she is the feminine aspect of Kala, Mahakala. Kali, no, Kala eva Strilingakhya Kali iti uchyate. So it means it's the Kala in its feminine form becomes Kali. And what is Kali? What is time? So time is again connected with our life force, our prana shakti. So it is through the prana we again experience time. And that Akhanda Kala, Akhanda Mahakala becomes the divided Khanda Kala in the process of creation, in the relative world, where you find everywhere Kali dancing. It's Kali's dance, it's the play of time. And it is that play of time which cooks everything. She is the Pachaka Shakti. It is the time, so that's why um, we say even in our ordinary language, time will take care of it. Time will speak of it. This is the Pachaka Shakti. And Kala Kramena, we have this whole idea of Kala Kramena. Your Vidya also will become ripened Kala Kramena. So in the course of time, because time takes care of it. Kala plays a very important role in our life. And that is what is the sadhana of Kali, where each one focuses on the prana shakti and how it manifests, how it flows, and then how it ripens things. Similarly, Tara, I'm just giving you a few examples. Tara is the feminine aspect of Tara. You know what is Tara? Tara is another name of a Pranava. Pranava of the Upanishad and Om or Udgita of the Veda. So when we talk about the essence of Om, like Om is a sound. Again, the essence of Om is Rik. You can reverse the whole process also. Again, The essence of Rik is Udgitha. Udgitha is the highest Sama chant. Okay. So again, you can reverse it like the essence of Udgitha is Rik and the essence of Rik is Om. Right. And that or Pranava. The Upanishads call that highest form of sound, that Paravak, as Pranava. So that Pranava, where there is no sound, it's all silence. That is Tara, Nishabdam Tat Parabrahma. It is the speechless, it is the soundless. It is just like, like the ocean with no kshobha. It's just there. And when there is a little kshobha takes place, then you have ripples and waves. So the creation begins. So it is from that Tara, from that Pranava, from that word, primordial word, that the creation begins. It manifests in multiple forms, multiple waves. And again, all these different forms can merge into that silence. That is why in the Tara sadhana, it is from the sound you enter into silence. That is the power of every mantra. So the sadhana of mantra, when you chant any mantra, what is the ultimate purpose? The ultimate purpose is to bring the entire consciousness into a state of silence. When there is no noise, no chaos in any part of the consciousness. That is the ultimate purpose of any mantra sadhana. Because Nishabdam Tat Parabrahma, that has to be realized. And she is Tara, the feminine form of that Tara, of that Pranava, of that Om at the highest form. So you have Kali, you have Tara, then you have Bhuvaneshwari. Hmm? Sundari Alka. Okay. So she's that Bhuvaneshwari is space. She rules over all space. And at the ultimate level, this time and space is not measurable. So we measure it because of our limited consciousness. We say that okay, this space is mine, this space is mine. We keep fighting over rivers, mountains, oceans, sky. So all the Pancha Mahabhutas we have made our own at present. So even space is also measured that this is I'm flying over this nation space, I'm flying over this. So we divide everything because of the divided consciousness. So that Bhuvaneshwari prevails when through the Bhuvaneshwari sadhana, we experience what the real space at the ultimate level is. She expands and creates more space within us. And then we have another aspect in the Upanishad called the Dahara Akasha. Dahara Akasha. Dahara Akasha means that little space within. If you want to explain, because that is why they say whatever is there in the Brahmanda is there in the Pinda. So that supreme space, which we call as Bhuvaneshwari, the purity of that space is there in the heart, which is known as Dahara Akasha. And through the Bhuvaneshwari sadhana, this Dahara Akasha is contemplated. And then you experience the vastness of the space where there is no division, no limitation, the real pure space within oneself. So there, that Dahara Akasha becomes identified with the Chidakasha. Then you have, say, in the Mahavidyas also, there are these different uh, Mahavidyas. You can club them together with certain fundamental aspects. For example, like Tripura Sundari, Kamalatmika, they all will belong to one category of bringing harmony, beauty, and all kinds of beautiful things. Through that, one experiences within oneself the light, the delight, the harmony, the love, universal love, through the sadhana of this. Now, see, when Dhumavati is presiding over, like each Mahavidya, each Mahadevi presides over a certain principle of creation. When Dhumavati is presiding over the Asat, Tamasit tamasa gudham, darkness, clouded by darkness, and there she is the pure flame. Similarly, when the creation is beginning, as I told you, that Kali starts presiding over the time aspect, and Bhubaneswari starts presiding over the space aspect. And the supreme word, Tara, starts presiding over the supreme word, the Vak Shakti, the Paravak. And then also, with the sound, three Mahavidyas are connected: Bhairavi, Tara, and Matangi. Now, when the supreme word, that Paravak, is turning towards manifestation, so Tantra gives the name as Bhairavi, Bhairava. Okay. The supreme flaming word turned towards manifestation. Okay. It is not the Paravak, but it is the Paravak turning towards the manifestation is Bhairavi. Then the Pashyanti Vak in the philosophy of language, grammar, the Pashyanti Vak. This is again like the four grades of speech that you find: Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, and Vaikari. So this is how it descends. That Nishabda Brahma, Paravak, when it turns towards manifestation, the first stage again is the Pashyanti. Pashyanti means seeing word. What does it mean, seeing word? Seeing word means I like actually with the seeing, with the perception, with perceiving, beholding, the whole creation begins. That's why the every aspect in this creation is called a loka. Loka. So loka is ordinarily translated as world or people. But why the world is called a loka? Why the world is anyone is called a loka? I am also loka, you are loka. It becomes log in the regional languages. You know, log kehte hain. Okay. So loka. Loka comes from the root sound luk or lok or luch or loch. So there can be four possibilities. From each you get lochanam, or alochanam, alochana, lokanam, aloka, avalokanam. So all these root sounds, they're connected with sing. Even the English word look comes from lok. Lok is the word, the root sound. So seeing. So what happens, like when the divine desires or wishes to manifest, so once that desire, the primordial desire, the Ichha Shakti has taken place, that yes, I ekoham bahusyam, like I'm alone, let me become many. So there, the next stage is he sees himself or herself, all the possibilities, like all that it can become, in all possible ways that it can unfold itself. So he looks at himself. So that's why the Upanishads say, Sa akamayata. The next is tad aikshata. He looked at himself. So that because I'm also, if I'm there, I'm also seen by that. So that's why I'm loka. I'm his perception. I'm his vision. I'm there in his vision. Okay, I'm there in his look. He has looked at me. Okay, so that's why we say in the Mahavidya tradition also, like you find description of that the uh, the Devi looks at you. When the Devi looks at you, then you are graced, you are blessed. Okay. Her drishti is falling on you. ऐसा ना आपकी दृष्टि मेरे ऊपर हुआ है. So that drishti is the blessing. So that's how the loka happens, the world happens. The seeing word means like the Pashyanti Vak is that stage where it sees all the different form that it can take place, all the different meanings which it can absorb. Then comes the Madhyama. If you look at the four grades of speech, so Madhyama is that stage where that word uh, gets connected with its own contextual meaning. In a particular meaning, it gets connected with the buddhi, so where it can manifest in a particular sense. Okay. Otherwise, any word can have various senses. Okay. So at Madhyama level, it gets connected with a particular meaning. And then Vaikhari is the expressed word where it gets expressed for the communication purpose or for the practical purpose. So here, when Bhairavi is that supreme word turning towards its manifestation, Tara is Pashyanti, and then the expressed word Vaikhari is represented by Matangi. So that's why all those who are doing Matangi sadhana, so they have a very free flow of speech, very fluent in speech. Okay. Then you have the Tripura Sundari, which presides over all our desires, Kama, the primordial luminous desire, but the pure desire is presided over by Sundari. And then the delightful beauty is well taken care of by Kamalatmika. And Chinnamasta combines light and sound. Chinnamasta combines both light and sound. And then Bagalamukhi, the role of Bagalamukhi here is that it arrests, it controls every free flow of energy. So she is the controller, a regulator. If Bagalamukhi is not there, then just the energy will flow and then it will not be concentrated. So one can just, you know, uh, go with the flow without making proper use of the energy. So Bagalamukhi, so what happens, like today the world needs more Bagalamukhi, otherwise whatever is happening in the name of freedom of speech, so we need to invoke more Bagalamukhi that she has control over that. You cannot do anything with the freedom of speech. There has to be regulation, there has to be control, there has to be a controlled flow of energy in whatever form. So that is what is Bagalamukhi. So all the names you can say Kali, Tara, Tripura Sundari. So Tripura Sundari means like she's, I mean, very roughly it is translated or interpreted as, so she is the most beautiful in all the three worlds. But if you contemplate again on the mother, when she speaks of the beauty, so she says beauty in the physical, beauty in the vital, beauty in the mental, beauty in our thought, beauty in our speech. So in every aspect, the three worlds is at the aparardha level, the beauty in physical, vital, and mental. At the parardha level, she presides again of the beauty of Sat, beauty of Chit, beauty of Ananda. Right? So she's all beauty. So these are the three worlds. That's why she's called Tripura Sundari. Because without her intervention, you cannot even aspire for. How do we attain intensity, purity, and sincerity in our aspiration? Anyone can have aspiration, but if there is no purity in aspiration, that aspiration will not lead. If there is no sincerity, if there is no intensity in our aspiration, that will not happen. So it is that force of Tripura Sundari which brings that intensity, brings that beauty, brings that purity, brings that sincerity in our aspiration. Aspiration for anything higher. Even she creates that desire in us. Tripura Sundari, Bhuvaneshwari. Then you have Tripura Bhairavi. Tripura Bhairavi. Tripura Bhairavi. Then you have Chinna Masta. Chinna Masta. Chinna. Chinna Masta means actually it's a very fearful form of her, where you find that she has cut her head and then drinking her own blood uh, coming from its beheaded head. Chinnamasta, then Dhumavati. Dhumavati. Then you have Bagalamukhi. 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 Then you have Matangi. Matangi. Then you have Kamalatmika. Kamalatmika. Each Mahavidya, if you read each Mahavidya, so Kali Tantra will say that there is nothing beyond Kali. Tripura Sundari will say that it happens with that because you are focused on that. The reason is that it is through that Mahavidya you will realize the Supreme Divine Mother, of which they are the different manifestations where there is no beyond. So it is through that you can realize, through this individual form, you can realize her universal and transcendental form. That is why they say that each one, beyond there is nothing. And that's what exactly happens. It is not necessary that one has to do all the Dasa Mahavidyas together in order to realize the Supreme, the Transcendental Divine Mother, or transcendental aspect of the Divine Mother. It is through any Mahavidya one can approach that. So in that sense, so each one becomes that. Description is that beyond that there is nothing. Beyond Kali there is nothing. So beyond Kali means it is the transcendental form of the Divine Mother through Kali, through Tripura Sundari, through Tara. Each one here, like the Supreme Divine Mother, so from her transcendental form, she manifests in these individual forms. These are individual forms. And it is through the upasana of these individual forms, one can attain to the transcendental form of the Mother. Sri Aurobindo has reduced all the different forms of the Supreme Divine Mother into four: Maheshwari, Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, and Mahasaraswati. Okay. And he says that the human consciousness, which is an evolving consciousness or a budding consciousness, you can say, like a bird has all possibilities of blooming and fully blooming. So that's why the three aspects of human consciousness is known as Mukulita, Vikasita, and Purna Vikasita Chetana. So this human consciousness has four major powers within it: the power of wisdom, the power of strength, the force of strength, and then the power of love and harmony, and the power of perfection and meticulousness in work. Okay. So the power of wisdom is presided over by Maheshwari. And each human being, the essence of the human consciousness or each human being has these four major powers, right? So power of wisdom presided over by Maheshwari, the power of strength presided over by Mahakali, and the power of love and harmony presided over by Mahalakshmi, and the power of meticulousness and perfection presided over by Mahasaraswati. Okay. So these four major powers, then rest of the deities, rest of the manifestations of the Divine Mother, so they all fall into these four major powers. Okay. So this is again linked with the human temperament. Like if someone is more inclined towards wisdom, so he is a Maheshwari sadhak and is called as a Brahmana. So Maheshwari, power of wisdom, Brahmana. Mahakali, power of strength, Shatra Shakti. Mahalakshmi, universal love and harmony, Vaishya Shakti. And power of perfection, meticulousness, Mahasaraswati, Shudra Shakti. So these four Shaktis, there is nothing like he is a Brahman, he is a Kshatriya, he is a Vaishya, he is a Shudra. So if you look at this, the way Sri Aurobindo has explained it, and the way Sri Aurobindo has realized it, and then has manifested it. So each one of us, we carry these four Shaktis. And each one of us can raise ourselves to become a complete Brahmin, complete Kshatriya, complete Vaishya, complete Shudra at the same time. And when one has done that, he is called an integral person. So an integral personality, it Purnanga Manushya, Purnanga Nara. So he is the one who has manifested these four powers completely. And suppose my predominant inclination is towards wisdom. So there is a Brahmin temperament in me. So the rest of the Shaktis must complement to that Brahma Shakti. That's why Sri Aurobindo says a Brahmin is not a complete Brahmin if he is not aware of the Kshatra, Vaishya and Shudra Shakti in him. A Shudra is not a complete Shudra if he has not manifested, he is not aware of the Brahma Shakti, Vaishya Shakti, and the Kshatriya Shakti in him. So at the same time, all the four powers one needs to manifest. And then for a practical purpose, for the social organization, so we divide it based on the guna and karma. So the society into four different categories, four different kinds of manifestation of these powers, where there is the predominance of these powers. So society was divided into that. Now distorted, it has come down to the caste system, which has really nothing to do with the caste system of the West. By birth, each one is a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. All four powers we carry in our consciousness. We need to manifest that. In the Veda also, like if you see Saraswati, so there is a whole, development of this idea of Saraswati from the Veda to the Puranas. In the Veda, Saraswati is not goddess of wisdom. It's not Saraswati. Saraswati is the power of intuition, okay, inspiration. So she inspires. So that's why, like there in Sri Aurobindo's parlance, again, the Vedic Saraswati is there, they belong to the supramental world, the supramental deities, deities of higher form, Sila, Saraswati, Mahi, truth, audition, truth, vision, truth, inspiration, or intuition. So they're connected with that. Saraswati is that flow, that stream of consciousness, the stream of light and truth flowing into the human consciousness. Saras.